Welcome back to another episode of Off Season, a video series that features some of the work that I've been doing to my personal cars. I know it's actually not the off season right now, and I should probably be working on some recent Japan coverage, but I've had this video waiting in the queue for months now, and I figured I should just sit down and get it uploaded. I did all this work towards the end of summer, but never got around to filming the voiceover or actually editing it all. So I figured I'll do it now, get it out of the way so I can move on to this current season. One of the easier tasks on the very long list of things I have to do on the FD was to get the brakes in working order. I've had the APG brake kit installed since earlier last year, almost 2 years now since restoring the suspension, but I had yet to route and fix the brake lines needed to get them working. I plan to run a manual brake setup, not necessarily because I want manual brakes, but I don't have an OEM brake booster and I don't have an ABS unit, and the last thing I wanted to do was try and source those components and deal with all those extra lines for the ABS. I have my old honed firewall spacer from my Civic in storage, and I decided to retrofit that with an OEM Mazda 929 master cylinder. And so the first step of all this is to drill a new hole in the brake pedal to accommodate the change in pedal ratio that you get from going from a boosted brake to a manual setup. So that's what I'm doing here. This new hole will accommodate the clevis pin in the push rod, or I guess the plunger, whatever you want to call it, that goes into the master cylinder when you depress the brake pedal. If you're unaware, a new OEM Mazda RX-7 brake pedal costs about $600. So I'm going pretty slow here, just take my time to make sure I get this correct. And you also can't find them anywhere anymore, so really I only get one shot at this. A quick test to make sure that the pin fits, and it looks like it's all good here, so we can move on to the next step, which would be to make sure that the push rod length is adjusted properly. I want to make sure that the end of the push rod is resting on the master cylinder, so when I go to depress the brake pedal, there's no delay from extra travel that it has to go to before actually activating the master cylinder. Let's go ahead and take the wheels off so we can get access to the wheel wells and the brake calipers, since we'll be installing some stainless soft lines to the caliper from the new hard lines that we're about to make. I have since installed those door panels, and they look amazing. By the way, if you're interested, let me know. They're not listed on the storefront just yet, but I am working on that. Also working on designing a latch. They probably won't be sold with the latch, since there's 100 different ways to do it, and everybody has their own preference. My car is very minimal, so it's not going to be anything fancy. So with the new hole drilled and the pin installed, gonna go ahead and line the brake pedal box up back to where it gets installed, stick the rod through the firewall, and line it up with the spacer and the new master cylinder. And then loosely bolt everything down, probably finger tight, just to make sure it's where I want it to be. And always got to take some time to give Emma some pets. Now you can see that I got the bolts finger tight, everything looks good, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten those down and then move on to installing the new brake bias adjuster onto the master cylinder. A lot of the components on this car have been sitting untouched for decades. I don't want to just keep things as they are. For the most part, if I can clean up something and keep it, I will. As is the case for this brake line adapter here. I wanted to clean it up before I move on with the install. Also gives me an excuse to use this little parts cleaner that I have. Doesn't work super good, but it works enough if you use it a couple times. I don't know, it's passable. It's not the best, but it gets the part, to a point where it's a lot better than it used to be. I actually used this little thing for almost all the suspension bolts, but what I did after that was also zinc coat them. They do end up looking a little bit nicer. We'll go ahead and fix that with one of our titanium M6 washers, and you can see some of the new lines hooked up to the Tilton brake bias adjuster here, and go ahead and connect them all to the master cylinder, and then get the other ones connected that route into each wheel well. And then from there, we'll install the soft lines and be pretty much done. I initially wanted to make all new lines that ran under the car as well, but after inspecting the OEM ones that were already there, they don't seem to be too bad. So I think I'm going to try and flush them with some brake fluid, and just use those as is and see how that goes. Save me some time and money. For some reason, I can't find the video of the softline install, but just use your imagination. We've all seen those before. I haven't yet put fluid into the system. I'll do that when I have some time. I kind of got busy with working on the ISF after all this happened, which maybe I'll make another video on as well if I have some time. I recently was able to take that car to Thunderhill East. Pretty fun track. Took me pretty much all day to learn the lines. But I did meet my goal time, and it was nice to finally get some seat time with the new differential installed. Maybe I'll post the in-car from that event later on. It's not an impressive lap or anything, but I do like having the in-car uploaded to YouTube so I can go back and reference it whenever I want.